everybody, it's Safi and Marco, Dish Out on the Movies. And today we are ranking the 10 full moon movies that we have watched like late September, all through October and November, and a little bit of this month. We do this every year, and we pick them out a year in advance, and Marco and I have actually picked out 10 more for next year. He picked 5 and I picked 5. So this is kind of the process that we go through every year. So now that we have reviewed all these, maybe sometimes he's reviewed them or we both have, we are now going to rank the movies that we saw this year, the full moon movies. Okay? And this is like, it's kind of, we do this around Halloween, so we did it before and after Halloween and Halloween, so.
What's really funny is that next year it would actually be very on theme to do this list late because Puppet Master vs. Demonic Toys is one of our movies, and that's a Christmas horror movie, so we might even do that next year where we do it after Halloween is part of, the Puppet Master movie. But anyways, I just want to go ahead and start off because we do not have the same lists, evidently, but we did share a lot of the same opinions. Safi did have one strange opinion about Demonic Toys that she'll talk about later that I didn't really agree with, and she didn't tell me that when she first watched the movie, so I didn't tell you guys in the review. So my number 10 is another porno movie that Safi picked out called Bikini Jones and the Temple of Eros. Both versions. This was a very bizarre movie.
Wait, I thought it was also called Cruella's Castle.
Well, that's the original title.
That's okay.
The porno title. And so, this was just a really bizarre. It might be one of the weirdest things I've ever seen because for a lot of reasons, and if you guys watch the commentary that I did, you'll know why. But it's just very strange the way that they wanted it to be like an Indiana Jones movie, but it didn't really. It feels like if you're gonna make an Indiana Jones adult film, you could have done a lot more creative things than this. Like you could have done. Like, I'm not even an Indiana Jones fan, and I feel like you could have done a lot better than you did. Like, they had discount Jimmy Fallon, and Jimmy Fallon is already a discounted person. The main girl, Bikini Jones, I think her name is, she's really, really boring. She was not really one of the best Asian adult actresses. Or just actresses in general, in terms of, this was a really... And you can't even really classify it as a movie, either version, So, Safi, what's your number 10?
Well, because mine, I called it Cruella's Castle.
Okay.
And I thought it was a piece of trash.
Yeah.
And because there was nothing to it, and, if it was supposed to be a porno movie, they should have just kept it as that, and then put it in another venue, because apparently it would not be appropriate for this venue, and that would have been fine with me, because it didn't work. I don't know how it would work in the other way, but it didn't work for a fun or in-depth or good movie.
It was just dumb. Very dumb.
It sounded intriguing. Well, because it was, when I saw it say Cruella, and I was thinking about, 101 Dalmatians and Cruella de Vil, and so, that's probably why they named it that to begin with, because the name Cruella would have caught somebody's eye, and then all the other, since it was originally a porno, some of the other stuff, like how the girls looked.
Well, see, I think that could have been a different thing, because as far as I know, and I don't have a knowledge about adult films because that's not what this channel's about reviewing. But anyways, I don't know if there's any Disney adult films, And so they could have literally made like a Disney adult parody and called it Cruella's Castle, and they could have done a bunch of things with, Disney characters. That would have been hilarious. Like the genie. Because the genie would be like, he'd be all blue, and that'd be hilarious. So, Safi, look,
they have enough problems with what they've done to
the official,
company,
yeah,
taking on way too much
and ruining Star Wars and all that. Yeah.
So I think they have bigger things to worry about.
So we agreed on that, but what's your number 9, Safi?
My number 9 is The Daytime Ended.
Oh.
And the intriguing thing about this was who was in it. And other than that, the story was crap. It was kind of like a science fiction movie. And I believe they had like 1 to 2 settings. They had it was like a desert area, but then they had the inside of the house. And the desert, it was like a ranch, and it also had like a horse area, like a barn, but it didn't look like a barn. And anyway, the male lead actor was a former cowboy star, and I think he was on Dallas, and he was very ill when they made the movie, so he was very limited in how he could act. I mean, he did his best, and I'm not criticizing him because I think he's gone now. He passed away. And I think the female main star was a very famous actress, too. She was in, I don't know if anybody remembers this from a long time ago, but Peyton Place. And they play the song for that Stephen King movie about the mansion. At the very end, it's that girl who's, I don't know if she's autistic or what, but she loves, it's like Summer Place. That was like the theme song for Peyton Place. So I had those two, and then another actor, and it was Christopher Mitchum, and that is Robert Mitchum, if you know who that is. It's a famous actor from years before. And that is his dad. So this is his son. Yeah, he has a couple of sons. And so this guy, he was okay. He did look a little bit like him. He was in the movie. And, but that, as far as like the content, the story, it wasn't that good. And it just didn't even make any sense. We tried to make sense of it. But see, then when we start doing that, we're writing the story for them. We're writing a better story, and that just isn't right. We are not paid to write in somebody else's story after the movie's already been made. So,
yeah, I'll pay myself to write my own story. Thank you very much.
Well, yeah, I really get tired of it. And it could have been...
Safi even criticized that with my own short film, and I was like, well, Safi, this is a short movie.
Yeah, but this was meant to be a movie.
Yeah.
And, you could tell, too, the way they treated the two top stars, that they were very, what you want to call it, but not subservient, but they're very extra respectful, because they knew that they were very, famous, and they tried their best, but it was just it was so flimsy, and it just wasn't very good. So,
my number 9 is Ragdoll. I disagree with Safi. In fact, I was very close to putting, because I did not like 5 of the movies that we watched at all, basically.
It was easy, I think, for us, because we were like 5 and 5.
Yeah,
and
5 were bad,
terrible.
5 were good. Yeah.
Good is in quotes, so.
No, there's a couple that are really good, but...
but yeah.
No.
At least they're very well set apart from the bad 5. So, I mean, you can't argue. They're completely better and different.
I had to put Ragdoll like near the very bottom, because I was really excited about watching this movie as a kid, and I thought it looked cool. and I thought that the ragdoll kind of looked creepy, but the story was terrible. It was very cliche and predictable, and it was very low quality. It was kind of good in a good bad way, where there was a lot of funny stuff. Like, they had the bad guy, he looks like Steve Harvey, and they keep calling him like Little Pimp or Little Pin or Little Pear, and that
understand them.
We could never understand what his name was. And the movie was supposed to take place in New Orleans, and there was nothing New Orleans about the movie.
It
so
might as well taking place down the street from where we live.
Yeah.
It just you couldn't tell this was New Orleans at all.
And I was disappointed too, because this is one of Full Moon's only like black oriented movies, like one of the only ones where it's like a black story, and it just was not good. And so that's kind of a shame. Like, they should make a better movie and have like tell like a good black story, like with black characters, and in terms of like black mythology and African folk tales or something, But this was crap. It was crap. I guess the love interest is okay, but like that's about it. Like, I would never watch this again. So, what's your number 8, Safi?
Well, my number 8 is the Ragdoll movie.
Oh.
And I kind of like the, it's very interesting because Full Moon likes puppets. Puppets and toys, demonic toys, Puppet Master, and they did have a doll in this, and it was part of the black magic, that was inflicted on the people. And so that, to me, that's kind of, I don't know, I thought that was interesting, but it was a very, like Marco said, it didn't show anything that resembled New Orleans. I mean, they could go to Kansas City, probably Philadelphia, and show even like South Carolina. They could show a harbor scene. They don't have to show the skyline, but just a harbor scene. California, I mean, anywhere, in San Francisco, anywhere. And it might, be New Orleans, but I mean, this might as well just take place down the street, like where we door dashed. I mean, it's just ridiculous, and that was sad to me. And it was very. I thought the story was better than the previous one, and I liked the doll, but still it lacked what Marco said about the characters, and that was sad. So I wish it would have been better, because I think they could have done more with it. And some of these ones, like the ones we just mentioned, I don't know what else they could have done with it. They would have had to completely change things. And the Cruella's Castle must was just toss that in the garbage can. But the daytime ended. If they had to screw it around and come up with, I don't know, like they had a bad dream and they couldn't remember the whole thing, and they put that in the movie. I don't know, it was weird. And in this movie, it just could have been better, and that's a shame. So.
My number 8 is the Primeavals. I was hugely disappointed in this movie as well. For the main reason would be, this is like an old school stop motion movie. They used a lot of stop motion, and I feel like the movie really should have just been about what was it, Yetis?
Yeah.
It should have just been about Yetis, but the whole movie's about these stupid
aliens,
lizard alien people they call the Primeavals, and I feel like the first 30 minutes is okay, where they're in the snowy mountains and it's all about tracking Yeti. Like, I could have just watched a whole movie with that, but then as soon as it became about the Primeavals, that's when it became trash. And then there's this really stupid death at the end that could have been avoided with one of the characters. They're standing at a door, and it's like all they had to do is just move away, and they just stood there.
Too long.
Yeah, they acted like they wanted to get shot by an arrow. And it was so dumb. I hated the movie. Never will watch it again. And it's another one of my choices. I would like to point out, Safi picked the better movies from last year for this year. I picked the three out of the 5 bad movies. Safi only picked 2 out of the 5 bad movies for me. So, yeah. Safi, what's your number 7?
Yeah. Well, I picked Quadrant.
Oh.
We just saw that.
Wow.
And we both, well, I'm pretty sure Marco thought, because we talked about this, we reviewed the movie together, but it could have been a really good story if they had just put a little bit more thought into it and picked another way of presenting the story instead of whatever they did, which is kind of confused because it really wasn't thought out. And but it could have been a really good story. They did not have enough information. You have to have, and this is back to what a problem we have with certain movies. They don't present enough information, and we, as observers, people who watch the movie, are having to come up with the story. And we talked about it, and we thought of probably between us, like at least 3 different ways to tell the story better. And it would have been it would have flowed better. It would have, made more sense. And I don't know what the process is for some of these movies. Is it one person who comes up with the idea? Do they have a team that sits at a table and comes up with ideas? Or that's probably the secondary part of the process. I think the initial part would be people at their individual homes or apartments, whatever, coming up with like the whole story, and then they meet as a team at the movie making office. But I just don't know. But they don't. It's not smooth. It's rough. It doesn't make any sense because there's too much missing, and it drives me nuts. So that's where I put it.
My number 7 is the day time ended. I just thought it was a really funny, good, bad movie. There were a lot of funny parts, especially with the main guy, the old cowboy guy. He was just like
he was sick.
He had one foot out the door, and
and
it
I
was
feel so bad because he must have felt terrible.
See, it's
like the guy in
it's a movie though, and
Marvel movie,
and you have to. Well, that's different.
He was really ill.
That's different. This is just an old guy, and I just feel like you have to judge the movie based on the movie for the most part, and to me, he made the movie very hilarious, and it's just a crappy movie in that way, but it's a very dumb movie, so I didn't really like it very much. Safi, what's your 6?
It's really hard because see these bottom 5, for both of us, they're kind of jumbled around, but they're still all bad.
Yeah.
Okay, well, mine was Primevals.
Yeah.
And the thing about Primevals, pretty much have to agree with Marco, but there was a famous actress, Juliet Mills, and Haley Mills, and that's her big sister, and they all treated her with a lot of reverence, and she was pretty good. She's the one, and I'm not going to blame it all on her. I think the direction of this thing where she stood too long in the doorway, like she knew she was going to have to get shot. It just didn't work out. It did not look realistic enough.
It was poorly filmed.
Yeah, but she's still alive, and she's I don't know, 82, 83, I don't know, but it's a very famous acting family, and you could tell they were all in awe and very extra respectful but that is not, you have to work on the story. And they make it sound, even the picture of the poster, it has a Yeti on it.
It's all wintry.
And it's wintry, but it's like, that's only maybe a...
That's the best part. That's the only...
Of the movie is that.
Yeah, it's like the beginning part. But the rest of the movie is just generic...
Hot dinosaur environment.
Yeah, generic jungle environment. So... Yeah.
And then, it kind of reminded me of, what did we say, those, the aliens, because it was all about the aliens. Because these aliens that had survived all these years, generations of them, they were controlling the Yetis by knocking them out or something and doing some kind of brain surgery, I don't know, but, and making them violent. More violent than what they might have been. And what did I say that reminded me of? It was, it's that old movie with where the guy goes back in time.
The Time Machine?
Yeah, The Time Machine. And really those aliens, although they didn't look the same, but it reminded me of that they have been here all this time, though, to modern day. And anyway, it just, this thing, I don't know, that I guess they're getting these established actors who've been famous for a long time.
That's what a lot of indie movies do, is that you'll have a bunch of new people, and then you'll have the one really famous actor who kind of draws people in. That's kind of... like with Halloween, their big star was, Donald Pleasance. Everyone else was kind of like low tier.
Him.
I know, because he was the best person in the franchise.
Yeah, he was.
Not Jamie Lee Curtis. So, well...
Okay, well, next is...
my number 6 is Subspecies 5... Blood Rise, and I was also excited about this movie, and again, hugely disappointed. I thought that the idea was kind of cool of seeing Radu as a human, and I thought that the actor did a good job, but I thought that the story was stupid. It was very rushed, and it felt to me... It felt kind of like a book adaptation where they were rushing through the book and rushing through the chapters, and then they left out a lot of chapters, and I just don't feel like it was a complete story. I think it could have been a lot simpler, and I did not think it really fit in with the first Subspecies at all. Like, it doesn't fit, because I rewatched the opening scene of the original one, and to me... There's no way you could watch this and then watch Subspecies 1 and say, hey, that makes a lot of sense. You couldn't do that, So, Safi, what's your number 5?
Well, I decided my number 5 is Prehysteria, and I just thought it was okay. It was a children's movie. And they used, Marco was more knowledgeable about special effects and with the stop motion, whatever it is. And they had toy dinosaurs. And I'm not going to go in the story, we reviewed it, but we had like a bunch of these same dinosaurs for years. And, I just felt like they were playing with a bunch of toys. They're supposed to be real. And I don't know. I just thought it was, it might even be okay to show your kids. I mean, it's not bad, but it's kind of really weak. The story is kind of weak. And, but I mean, it's just kind of a fun movie. But, if you want to be controlling, like you have little kids, maybe, I don't know. But that's my number 5.
My number 5 is what's the Duck Dynasty movie? What was that? Magic in the Mirror 2.
Yeah.
Foul Play. I thought this was actually a really fun movie. You know, it actually was funny because the first one I hated so badly that the review was kind of like, you know, you could feel how upset the movie made me. And the second one was a big improvement, and it felt like it actually improved the first one, and it really tied, it wrapped up the story very well. It wrapped up the series very well.
And they were made very close to each other, too.
They were made at the same time.
I think that helps.
So that was also cool, because a lot of sequels, one of my big pet peeves is that they recast someone, or it doesn't feel like the first movie. You know, and that's been a big issue. Like, you look at a lot of slasher movies, like the Halloween movies or Texas Chainsaw, you know, where the guy made the second one like a comedy, and it was like, ew. You know, like, I wish they just made something that felt like the first one. And, you know, so this was actually a good example of that. And Safi, what's your number? 4.
Well, I picked that Subspecies 5, Blood Rise.
Wow.
And I decided, you know, I have prehysteria ahead of it. But I decided, because this movie had established characters in it, and it was part of a series, even though, again, the story, and wasn't this supposed to be like a prequel?
Uh-huh.
It was weak.
Very weak.
So it's really hard for me. It was hard for me to put it at, you know, and they're talking about a one-place difference, but and there was a brother and sister in it, and they played, you know, in the movie. I don't know if they're really brother and sister, kind of doubt, but they were a musical couple. They performed music, and when they get taken over by these vampires, they want them to play that music, but they can't, because when they were playing it, they had a certain happiness about them, and then when they were affected by these vampires, well, bitten, it screwed them up. They didn't feel the same freedom and happiness. So I thought that was a very interesting concept with music, and mixed in with the vampires, that I've never seen before. And we've watched a lot of vampire movies.
Wow.
So that's it for me. I put it at number 4, but you know, it was very, like Marco said, it was, well, he said it differently, but it was kind of a weak story, and I would think a prequel should be, and would be, a lot stronger and more fleshed out in story content than even the ones, you know, succeeding it. So, anyway, that's it.
My number 4 is Prehysteria. And, you know, like Safi said, this is a kid's movie. And I just thought, you know what? Like, it's a okay kid's movie that I think that Full Moon could do. That's the nice way of saying, like, yeah, this is kind of a crap movie, but, you know, Full Moon did a okay job at making a kid's movie.
And mostly what they make are adult movies, not adult like porno. They're just mainly for adults. Older children, like late high school.
Well, the thing that I really didn't like was I really didn't like the dad. The dad character was horrible. He was a jackass, and I did not like his character. And I hated the villain. The villain looked like he smelled, and he was so gross looking, and
he was kind of like that guy Al in Toy Story.
He's sleazy,
the first
and
Toy Story.
He looks like a porno director or something, you know. He just, ew. Yeah, he looks like he has just grease is all over his hands. Like, if you shook his hand, your hand would be covered in grease, because he's got grease all over his hands.
And remember Al from Toy Story ate cheese puffs?
Toy Story 2.
Puffs, yeah, all over his hands.
Yeah.
So it's kind of similar.
Safi, who would you be in Toy Story?
I don't know.
Would you be Slinky?
I don't know.
Would you be the Slinky Dog?
I don't know.
Would you be the Potato Head?
I don't know.
Guess who I would be, Safi? Who would I be?
No idea.
Who would Marco Carlson be in Toy Story?
Well, they don't have a toy pickle.
God, Safi?
Maybe Mr. Potato Head.
No. Let's see. Who would I be?
Dinosaur?
No. Dinosaurs are gay. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. No, I don't know. I would want to be... I would want to be a new character who was on Woody's Roundup. The TV show that they showed that got canceled where Woody was on there with Jesse and Stinky Pete. I would want to be a fourth character, like a cowboy type of character with Woody. That would be really cool. That's what I would want to do. So?
Okay, we're on number 3, and my number 3 is Magic in the Mirror.
Oh.
So Marco's already talked about it, and I just thought it was really, really good. This is another kids movie, which they had made the first one, which was kind of very fair. It wasn't bad, but it was just really like C minus minus minus. This one was so much better. And they really used the same characters for the most part, and they improved everything, and they filmed them very close together, and I think that helped. And it was almost like when they did the first one, they were very green and unsure of themselves, but they still managed to get a good product out for children. But then when they and there is a dark side to this, which might bother some parents. But still, this one was a lot smoother. It had a whole plot. The characters were fleshed out. It's a good kids movie, except for this dark part that some might not like. It's not nudity or killing with guns or anything like that. It's making people into tea, which is, so they're boiled and they show them being dipped into in a cloth thing, like you'd have tea, loose leaf tea, and some kind of wire mesh basket or a paper filter, and you pour hot water over it or whatever. So it's kind of only they have a big pot of water and they dip it's real big. You don't see anything bad, but it might be the thought of it might be kind of scary. But other than that, I think it's a pretty good kids movie. And it's not like we're into watching kids movies, but this is Full Moon, and they made this, and it's pretty good. So that's my number 3.
My number 3 is Quadrant, and I don't think that this is a good movie because they used AI, but it was better than the others to me. It was a lot more entertaining as a horror movie. There was a lot of blood and violence. There was a lot of nudity. So it hit all the marks that a horror movie should hit. But the problem was the story was terrible. And it was almost like a TV episode in the middle of a show. And it felt like there needed to be a lot more. Like it was rushed through. It was not set up properly. And also, I came up with a better idea than the movie we actually watched, where, the movie's all about this girl who's obsessed with Jack the Ripper, and I thought the movie was going to be about her traveling back in time to solve the Jack the Ripper murder. I thought that would have been really cool, but that's not the movie that we got. The movie that we got was just kind of trash. With a lot of it's like a cake with a lot of icing on top, and icing is the best part of a cake, so it's kind of like you can eat a lot of icing there, but then you'll get sick afterwards, and So Safi, what's your number 2?
Well, my number 2 is Demonic Toys. And like I said earlier, Full Moon likes to make movies about puppets and toys. And like Dr. Hysteria, toy dinosaurs. And
we have a toy cat.
And then even in the Magic in the Mirror, you have these duck people, but they're evil. anyway, it's kind of like a magic or something. But anyway, this demonic toys. The only thing. Oh, and another thing I wanted to say too. When we talked about the daytime ended, we talked about Robert Mitchum's son, Christopher, who was in the movie, which he wasn't really that great. I mean, he's been in a lot of movies, but this wasn't the movie with the outstanding character from him. But his son, so it'll be Robert Mitchum's grandchild, was in this movie, and he had a huge part. And doesn't he survive the movie?
Who?
I think is it Bentley?
Yeah.
Mitchum? Anyway.
Yeah.
So he's like one of the final people standing. So you have these toys and you have a demon, and it's a pretty good story. I did not like the female actress, and that shocked Marco because apparently everybody thinks she's really fantastic.
I guess she's like a famous actress. I mean,
I thought she was terrible.
I thought she was okay. I mean, I thought, I thought she had really nice teeth. And that's the main thing that I took was like, she had very white teeth. She was kind of like the mom from Friday the 13th, the original,
Well, I thought she was like weak sauce.
Yeah.
Her lover, and isn't she pregnant?
Yeah.
By him? So, I mean, they're not just little casual acquaintances. It's her partner, I guess, police partner.
Her boyfriend is also her partner,
Which I think that's a big fat no-no.
Well, who cares? It's
I
good.
Know that,
I think it's a great thing.
But she's still, her whole interaction and everything with him, it just wasn't very good. It was so weak.
A lot of the movie is supposed to be about how she misses him, and you don't really feel a lot of emotion because you hardly got to spend any time with that guy.
No, he's hardly on the screen. And they did have a relationship.
Yeah.
They went out on a very dangerous mission together with no backup. Yeah. I mean, there was some other, like, police procedural.
Usually you would have people as backup for, like, something like this.
Yeah.
Like, they did something on The Mentalist where they were just getting one bad guy. He was a hitman. And they had like 4 or 5 people, like, surround him.
He was a professional hitman, though.
They surrounded him, like they swooped in and surrounded him. And then you have multiple guys here, and they're selling dangerous guns, or they're buying dangerous guns, and they have guns themselves. And it's like, yeah, you're going to have you're going to have others there to help arrest these guys. It's not going to be like, Tweedledee and Tweedledum, So,
but it was an interesting story.
It was a great story, and it is my number 2 demonic toys. I loved it. I thought it was a great movie.
So we both picked that for number 2. So that means we both picked the same number 1.
Well, first off, I thought it had a really good story, but it was definitely one of those horror movies that was just kind of, it had a lot of bad stuff in it. It was kind of funny. Like, Safi, I don't know if you remember, but this was my favorite part of the movie. Besides the chicken, and also, this movie made me really hungry for fried chicken. And so I had to get fried chicken last week. I'm still hungry. I want fried chicken and mashed potato. That sounds really good. But there's a part in the movie where this security guard, because most of the movie takes place in this very small room with a lot of boxes. And they have this really long, like 5 to 10 minute sequence where you're just walking from one end of the room to the other, and then all of a sudden he falls over and gets killed. And it's just so hilarious because they look out this window, and they had this sequence go on for like 5 to 10 minutes, but he only walked like 10 feet away from the door. So it was like a bunch of movie magic bullshit, where they were trying to make the room seem bigger than it was, and then you see, he actually just fell over like a couple feet away. And so that was really funny. And I love the kid. I thought the kid was very creepy. No, the kid was the Mitchum guy. The kid was the Mitchum.
I'm talking about the young man who...
No, he was not...
The delivery guy.
He was not a Mitchum. No.
Yes, he was.
No, he wasn't.
Want to make a bet?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, well, we'll be looking that up because I thought it was the delivery guy.
The Mitchum guy was the villain of the movie. He was a kid, And I love that idea. I love the fact that there was a little boy who was like a good kid, and he was like an angel or something. And I thought all that was really cool. I think that this movie should be rebooted and taken more seriously. And I love the fact that, you had these two characters. I think it was a big mistake to kill off the boyfriend at the beginning of the movie, because I thought that was like the core of the movie, was their relationship and her having a kid with him. And so the fact that you kill him off right off the bat, it's like, it's really crappy. It just really fails the story for me. It fails the characters. So Safi, number 1 is Dark Angel: The Ascent. What do you have to say about this movie?
I thought it was a very interesting story. I couldn't believe it. I loved it. And it may be uncomfortable for some people because it takes place in hell and then goes to earth. But it's really good. And it's really not that I don't think it's that complicated either. And to me, that means they actually thought it through, pretty much, the story. Which, wow, that's something unusual. And and I'm not sure. I don't know if they really explained it, but it might have been like and I really not familiar with all this stuff. The angel business, like the arc. I think they were like her family. She and her family were like archangels.
Safi, archangels are angels. They're not demons. She's a demon. Right?
Okay, well, see, that's the
Was
thing.
she?
But
I can't
they
remember.
were on a different level than the other, what do you want to call it, quote, people in hell. They had privileges, and their look was different. And they also had the ability to be able, it's a little bit complicated. I'm not going to explain it because it's already been reviewed. But I liked it a lot. Well, he must have too. He put it at number 1 too. Out of all these movies, I thought it was the best one. It was an interesting story, and it really wasn't that complicated. And I thought it just was. It was refreshing to me to have a story like this. It was very unusual. It's kind of like, it reminded me a little bit of that show Lucifer, and that was a really good show, which I did not finish watching.
Yeah, Safi was supposed to review the final season, and she didn't do it.
They kept trying to cancel it so they would get ready for that to happen for like the last 2 or 3 seasons, and they would like do a finale, but kind of where they would have wiggle room to come back, and that's what they did until finally they came to the point where they were not going to renew it. But it was I love that show. That was good. And this kind of reminded me of it, only it was its own story.
Yeah.
So go ahead, Marco.
Well, to me, this is one of the best movies that I've ever seen. And I would say it felt like a real movie. It felt like an actual movie compared to all the other full moon movies that I've seen.
Because it was thought out.
It really felt like a solid movie. And I was also surprised they didn't make a sequel, because it just feels like I could have watched like 5 or 6 movies in the series with these characters, and I felt like the story was very simple, but it was very, very good. It was very good. Everything about it was good. There wasn't like a single thing that I didn't like, except I thought there were a couple of things that should have been explained more.
Yeah, and I probably alluded to that when I was trying to explain who they were. Well,
I can't remember the big thing I talked about in my review. There was probably like one big thing, but one of the things is that she cooks meat in the movie. She cooks this meat dish for her new boyfriend, the doctor guy, and we never get told what that meat is. I think maybe it was hinted that it was human, like from one of the rapists, like she took some of his flesh and they ate it. I don't know because they never explained it, but it felt like, is this going to come up later? Like she made this dish and It looked pretty good, actually. It looked very hearty, and yeah. They made the perfect female character. She's definitely the best female character. I mean, see, if all female characters were like her, no one would be complaining about, like strong women in these Marvel movies or these new modern movies. No one would complain. It's the fact that, the female characters they make nowadays, they're all ugly, they're all gross, and they're all so unlikable. And it's like, I fucking hate them. I hate the new female characters. They're complete trash. But if you made a female character like this, I'd be really happy. So, lastly, or one of the last things is, these were our predictions. Safi predicted that Ragdoll would be the best one.
Well, because it had a doll.
I
and
predicted...
they're into toys and puppets, and like I said, and it had a doll.
I predicted that Subspecies 5 would be the best, which was very ballsy of me since, the Subspecies series is very, very hit and miss. Yeah. So, but both of us also, we did predict that Cruella's Castle would be the worst. So that was, we both got that right,
Yeah, and there's no changing our minds about that. It was the worst.
As for next year, we have 10, and the 5 that I came up with were Meridian. Meridian is Full Moon's version of Beauty and the Beast, and it also has Audrey from Twin Peaks as Belle. And then Bad Channels I also picked, and then Phantom Town. Phantom Town is a movie that I rented a lot as a kid, and so I can't really remember it, but I want to watch it again. And then I also picked out the classic first Puppet Master, which we have not reviewed all the Puppet Masters. It's very, very bizarre. And then lastly, I picked The Pit and the Pendulum, which I'm very curious about because it might be really good, it might be really bad. Safi picked Puppet Master versus Demonic Toys. She picked House of Pain, which is like Dr. Moreau. She picked Invisible, something about the Chronicles of Benjamin or something. And then Lurking Fear, which is an H.P. Lovecraft movie, which I'm really excited about. And then lastly, this one's called Murderbot, and I don't know about that one. So I predicted the best one would be Puppet Master, duh, but that's just because I've already seen it. I thought that the worst one would be Invisible. Safi thinks the worst one will be Bad Channels, and the best one will be Lurking Fear. So those are our 2026 picks. Safi?
Okay, well that's it. So if you like this video, give it a like, a thumbs up.
Are you going to fall asleep, Safi?
Comment.
You tired?
No.
Did that wear you out?
No. I just have not feeling well.
Oh,
anyway,
okay.
And also make sure you look at Marco's Patreon and consider getting his new short that he made. And he made it in color and in black and white, so you have an alternative. And I think you'll enjoy it. I mean, it's his first production, and he worked his ass off on a shoestring budget, and it's amazing what you can do with not very much. And I think he had fun making it. Sometimes it was frustrating because of the people he had to work with sometimes.
Well, they're all gone now.
And, but anyway,
Right, Safi?
you might like to see them. One of them,
no.
at least.
No.
No what? I'm talking about the movie.
Oh, yeah, you guys might like to see them. If you'd like to watch a really good short movie, very fun, and there's also an hour and 40 minutes of behind-the-scenes footage, and there's also bonus videos that you cannot see here on YouTube. So, you know, you might like to see one of those people. Or me, because I'm in the movie too, and it'll probably be the only one where I'm not starring in it. So, yeah.
So that's it, everybody. So goodbye.
Bye.